All right, everyone. Welcome to the Dungeons of Castle Blackmoor. Today we are going to do a little bit of a different episode than we've done before, as opposed to moving forward with the story we've been telling in kind of a linear way. We're going to take advantage of the fact that we don't have our full complement of players, and
Chad, you're
we're going to
muted.
do a little bit of one-on-one and collaborative, collective group role play, with really a focus on what's happened to these characters in the
I
past,
have no idea
how
what
they
he's
got
doing.
together, how they come to know each other. And we'll have some mechanics, but not that much. Focus is really going to be on understanding the characters that the players have created for you and giving them a chance to speak to each other and give you a context on their behalf. Now, that being said, this is 100% improvisational roleplay. So be aware, and we will kind of go from there. All right. Amen. All right. So that being said, let's see. Jimmy's not with us this week, and also Matt Turrell, who runs Penny, is not with us this week. They both have conflicts, and so we decided we'd put time to good use. So let's introduce ourselves a little bit. Jen, would you like to talk about your character? Or Idris can.
So I'm Jen, and I play Jennabink, a delightful gnome who is all about the arcane science.
Brother PJ, let's talk about Idris.
Okay, now that I've caught up to the stream because we can't hear you, Tad, because you're muted in Zoom.
Oh no.
Uh,
There you go.
there we go. Now I'm caught up.
All right, no wonder you guys were looking at me like I had three heads.
Yeah, so Idris is currently following around some rats, seeing a new power base and people to champion at this point. A lot of progress at this point, and looking forward to some flashbacks.
All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to draw about a little bit on my background, working in theater, and we're going to create a series of improvisational events. What I'll do is I will paint briefly a picture based on some things we've agreed to, and then we will step into role playing mode. And once we've decided what the rules of engagement are going to be, what things we're going to touch against, then we'll move forward. And for the most part, it'll be one on one, but we also might have some instances where the two of you are asked to do things together. So, that being said, let us go to. All right. Idris, uh, let's talk about a time where you had pretty serious conflict with your father over what he wanted for you. And let's see, when would that have been? What stage in your life would you like to sort of address that?
Oh, it was probably when I was 16, and he told me that I would have to leave and go to school, real people school, and make something of myself. I thought I'd already made something of myself, but I was like, no, something more? That's a lot of work, Father. You know, I thought I would just hang around the shop and sell arms and equipment, be a face guy. But no, he wanted better things for his children.
All right, so um, okay, you are in Blackmoor. Um, your father has brought you there And with him also is your middle brother, Corwin. And the two of them have been a little dismissive towards you as you've asked what's going on. Now, going to Blackmoor is not an unusual event for you. It's fairly common for you to go either with a caravan or independently to see how the family's business is going. It's not unusual for to go Blackmoor, but this is different. You have been asked to pack a substantial amount of your gear, and your father has been resistant to providing detail for you. For the most part, he has said, when I tell you to come, you come. And, hasn't really been interested in hearing what you have to say. So you are in sort of the loft office of one of the main armories where items are made, and the folks that work for you are downstairs. You employ some dwarven smiths on a contract basis, and there are other individuals that are learning from them or working with them. So, and the loft is up above it. It's thick with the smoke, smell of iron, coke being used to process steel. And in the background, there's the constant bang, bang, bang that comes from, hammer, working metal. So, well, Idris, why do you think you're here?
Well, I don't know who the girl's father was, but it's not my fault.
I just pay for that. We've had to do it before, especially for Corwin and being so charming. And you are, without a doubt, quite pretty and draw the young girls to you like flies to honey. That being said, why do you think you are being asked to do things? Why do you think I have brought you to Blackmoor? Why do you think your gear rests down below?
You're going to try and marry me off like one of my sisters to somebody?
Well, what is your primary duty as a Reagan?
I thought it was make lots of money and live your best life, but that's probably not right.
Your brother snorts and he goes, "We have a name, don't we? Do we have an obligation to further that name? What would your role be in that, brother?"
Well, as third and nine, I feel it's my duty to live life to its fullest because you and, Mr. Firsty McFirst over there, you've got a lot more going for you, but the rest of us, we gotta eke out some kind of living. And I'm not too fond of going away for 5 years. It sounds really, really hard. I'm just looking to coast. I think that's pretty easy. Put me
I would
behind the
have to
desk, I
say,
can sell.
your desires in that regard are of little interest to me. You will go through the 5-year period in your life where you prove yourself equal to your kin and demonstrate your ability to actually be a noble. If you fail in this, no money, no land, no women, no wine, except what you earn through the sweat of your brow, which I do not believe is within your capacity. Are we clear?
Yes, Father.
I thought so. Now, your mother has allowed me to indulge your drunken proclivities, your desire to copulate like a rabbit in spring on hormones with every woman or catamite or whatever you choose. We're done with this. Now, out of deference to you as a Regan, I would understand what you actually want for yourself beyond another drunken binge.
Well, I do enjoy acting and being a thespian, so I hear there are some bardic colleges out there where my talents could be put to use.
It's your brother.
Or, you asked how am I going to continue my whoring and wenching lifestyle. I mean, a bard sounds like a great way to do that. 5 years on the road, touring as a noble, learning other cultures, experiencing other cultures within and without. I mean, that's got to be worth something. And then when I come back, I'll have all these languages, know all these songs, be able to sell things much better. Basically, a well-rounded individual who knows how to sell weapons of death to whoever wants them and can afford them.
Well, we must be careful in that for two reasons. Although I can respect your desire to have fame and attention, you may not be aware of this, but the bards here in Blackmoor are often in direct service to Fletcher William, and through him to the Regency Council, and by extension directly to Uther Andahar himself. And although we are loyal subjects to the crown, we also must be simultaneously aware of how to maintain our discretion. Now, knowing you well, son, I have no doubt of your ability to charm your way into the appropriate places, but my concern would be your discretion, your ability to, keep family secrets, as it were. And Corwin goes, brother, I enjoy very much going places with you, hearing you tell stories, hearing you argue. I have enjoyed watching you charm different barmaids into our activity. It suits us both, but I have some belief that in the wrong environment you might share things that you should not share. And your father nods, aye?
Corwin, I haven't said anything about your wife, even though she's acting as a beard for you. I haven't told anybody. I've kept my mouth shut.
Well, when there is the fear of immediate and absolute harm, your discretion is good. So, but
Fear is a
I have
powerful
talked to you
motivator.
out of secrets, and I don't always think you even realize it. So, we've had a concerted offer, elder brother, father, myself, to have you compromise yourself, and I can't tell you that we haven't had some success at times. So,
Well, then perhaps I should, instead of becoming a bard, become a paladin and go off with Uncle and learn how to take vows and practice doing things people don't like doing, like celibacy and divinity and things of that nature, where they're always quiet and cloistered.
ha! Here. You must understand my role as patriarch of this family, and your brother Simon's role as first in line when he becomes patriarch. Politics is a chessboard. Think of it as a game. And sadly, for me, everyone who works and is bound to our house, everyone bred and living within our house, is a piece moved forward to drive family power. Now, you, if you weren't quite so dim, boy, might be an outstanding spy, because that's how we must really understand bards. But I don't trust your discretion. However, you, is a puddin'-headed knight, slamming through the countryside, beating things down on with your sword. There's value for me in that. And you, placed within a temple hierarchy, there may be value there also. And perhaps, given your ability to lead, and it is there, we could find commission for you in the King's army. Most certainly, you have greater potential, no offense, Colwyn, you have greater potential when it comes to martial combat than your other brothers, so perhaps we can place you in that role,
Well, yes, I mean, I am quick with the rapier and quick with the wit. Zing. But I mean, if I were to become a paladin, it would have to be someone amazing, like Hirsch, the Lord of Luck, the Rake. I mean, he is the god of communication, friendship, and luck. I mean, that's me in a bottle right there.
We will address that as you move forward. You will be here in Blackmoor. You aren't returning home with us. I have purchased a flat for you. I have established some wardens to observe your behavior and make certain you keep yourself safe. And you will be attending the University of Castle Blackmoor. There, we will attempt to refine your skills, hopefully introduce you to Blackmoor's upper crust, give you an opportunity to establish your presence amongst your peers, and select those individuals that will be of greatest use to the family as your friends and colleagues. Your thoughts on this?
Well, you're clearly going to disrupt my underground card den games that we play. I mean, that's one of my main sources of income, but I guess I'll find somewhere to set up and work on my math skills once again. That's where I meet most of my people. All of them. They're a shady bunch, but they know things, lots of things. They're friends. They're lots of fun. I'm pretty sure Blackmoor has lots of people like that. I could figure it out. The studies. I can just pay someone to do the work.
No. Sometimes that may be necessary. Menials have to accomplish things. And there are very many people who conflate their intelligence and academic prowess with actual real ability. So that may be necessary. But I expect you fluent in additional languages. I expect you to be able to perform as a courtier. And I expect you to have a fundamental and basic knowledge of the history of Blackmoor and those things arcane that you may encounter as you pass through your 5 years of validation. As for card play, yes, I will make certain you have suitable funds to keep yourself engaged. But note that you will also, from time to time, be asked to function as a courier. I will have information that I need a member of the family to pass. That will be you. How do you feel about that, son?
Well, I mean, as long as it's not heavy, I can carry it. I mean, we'd have to work out some kind of system for that, because I'm sure if you want me to move things, people are going to ask me, what are you moving, Idris? And I'll be like, I don't know. My father gave it to me. He said, don't show it to anybody. And I'll be like, that's why it's in this pouch, and I'm not showing it to you.
Corwin says, Saquin's tits! How fucking lazy are you? Listen, if father gives you a bunch of bricks and tells you to haul it to a dwarven goddamn mine, you do it!
You see these hands? Prestidigitation, once a week. From Karen. She does a great job. That's why the ladies love them, Corwin. How about your lady? Not so much.
Corwin, restrain yourself. Idris, your wit amuses, but it must inform and defend also. I would not use my long sword to chop wood, because it would become an axe. Neither will I use you to carry brick, unless it is in last and dire extremis. Your duty will be, with discretion, to move information to parties that I need it moved to, and to bring it back to me. Simply put.
I can do that. I love parties. I love going to them. I love being involved in them. Sounds like a great job.
So here is what I see, Idris. The idiocy that you present hides, I think, a rather deep and profound internal life. Now, I don't expect you to, contemplate the mysteries of the universe, but I think you have a hunger for raw political power and the ability to influence, control, and transform that which is around you. Likewise, you have the skill to manipulate and bring others to see things from your perspective. So, I talked to you earlier about a game of chess. You, son, are a rook. I will move you down the board, have you draw attention, have clear lines of threat that you are perceived for, and have you understood as something necessarily that you are not. So, take your vapid outward persona, sharpen it like one of the blades downstairs being perfected as an absolute item of its craft, and internally be a Regan. Protect our interests, grow our power, defend our name and influence. Do you understand me?
Of course, Father, I understand all of those things. I will function to the best of my abilities in defense of this house and of our interest. End scene.
Very good. Very good. So I have been... do you need to make some sort of deception check there, Idris, or are you being straight?
No, that is straight up like
Okay.
performance. That's such a performance.
No problem.
It's clear I'm just...
So, we bear a mark among the other houses, and we must expunge that taint. Be the best you can be here.
You want me to join the Navy? The Blackmoorian Navy?
No.
Oh,
I
good.
don't quite
I was
necessarily
confused.
need you to be all you can be in that way. I don't need you to see the seven seas, if that's your implication. No. What
I thought they
want you
wanted
to...
me as a recruit. A new recruit.
No, not necessary. And you will not be... you will not be asked to do that in that regard. And out of character, I wish I could come up with a Blackmoor way to tell you you won't be staying at the YMCA either. But I just couldn't do it. Thank you, Jennabink.
It's fun to stay at the Wizards Cabal today because their towers are super tall. We've got everything for your arcane foci. You can spellbook with all the boys.
That was impressive. I will give you points. That was so impressive.
I may have to put that up. Yeah, he already got
Young
inspiration, or I'll give it to you.
Are you listening to me? I said, young man, come arcane warrior with me. Cause we can't go there. To the Duchy of 10 and go kill a free D out there.
Dun, 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 dun. Wizards Cabal. I'm with you. All right.
You know they like to use fireballs.
Very good.
That's why I didn't play a Kabbalist.
Questions then, son?
No, I understand. It's clear if I want to continue receiving my stipend, this is what I must do, my cross to bear. But I will need a fallback plan, so I'm probably going to go sign up for some paladin training, because I hear they give charity to everybody. And if this fails for me, I'm going to need lots of it.
If it fails from you, you'll be visited in the night by someone with a garrote, and I will remove the stain and shame from the family. You will be interred in the family crypt with honors.
Oh, excellent. As long as I'm not near Corwin. Because he seems to bring things down, and like, when you're dead, you don't need that kind of thing. As you come back as a spirit, you want to be with the fun spirits. So put me with Grandpa, please.
Your distractions are moot at this point. Understand the stake. Be a Regan, do it well. succeed in what you ask.
I will go. I'll get it done. Are you going to give me money for books, by the way? I hear they're expensive at university.
Yes, yes. You'll have excellent lodging. Your stipend is 100 gold a month. If you burn through that, um, well, perhaps, you can go to a soup kitchen.
A soup kitchen. Not with these skills. And I'll do my... I don't have it here, but I have my playing cards. I'll just flick them out and try and throw down ace, 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 ace.
That matches the persona you have chosen.
You gotta make your money where you can. I mean,
I am making steel of you. You're being pounded on an anvil. That process is not always pleasant, but at the end of it, you'll be a sharp weapon that we can wield in defense of the house, and you will find your place and purpose within the world.
don't worry, Father. I will be a wondrous item. Magical, even. A very rare tool for this family, perhaps even legendary.
Well, your mother, indeed, is attuned to that aspect of your personality, and I actually had thought about squiring you off to the Thonian, to our Thonian relatives to the south in the capital, and she said no. She felt that there was a role for you within the family that was direct and more immediate. I trust her judgment. She sees things in you that I have not seen or allowed myself to see. So, be Reagan.
I'll have to remember to thank her. I hear it's hot down there.
Well, I believe we should go to the Golden Rose. It's a well-equipped brothel. I believe I need a shower and the attentions of young things. Corwin, you agree? Aye, Father. Idris, I don't believe we've taken you to these sorts of households before. Come, be a man. Walk with us.
All right, I'll follow. I'll follow.
All right, enough of that scene. Idris, let's talk about what you learned about your character.
That he has to deal with a pretty strong-willed individual behind him, and it's clear that within his family, probably the only person in his corner is probably his mother and maybe one or two of his sisters. But because he's so far down the line, he doesn't pay attention to most stuff. He's just trying to figure out where his money's going to come from, where his next meal is, and how not to get written out of the will.
I think that's reasonable.
Yep. But that bard sounds promising.
All right. So, Jennabink.
Yeah.
Let's think through a time when you failed. Failed academically in a way that you did not anticipate.
Well, I think in order for me to fail anything, it would have had to involve the interactions with other people, since people are so much harder to understand than things that are on my books.
All right. So, you would see any academic failure in that regard, and I could see this with Jennabink. You would see academic failure as a miscue.
Well, clearly, because if I did not understand the assignment, I, being the smartest gnome in the class, the smartest person in the class, that simply means that the professor obviously was doing a poor job.
All right. All right. You are in Fletcher Williams' office. and you were there with Puguni and Zola. And Fletcher says, Jennabink, I have some questions for you regarding some of the results for the class you were functioning as an assistant for. We have seen a group of students who were relatively low performing universally generate test scores we consider anomalous. Can you talk to me about the interactions you've had with Idris Regan, Domini Elsace, and Angelina Umbara?
Well, I mean, Idris is that, rich, spoiled kid that always, is dumb. Um, Dominique is normally, I mean, he's okay and he talks to me. Now, Angelia, I mean, she's always super nice to me and like I try to help her out as much as I can. I mean, as a matter of fact, she was being so nice to me a few weeks ago. I had her come over to my house and I personally gave her tutoring on the latest test stuff.
You did.
Yes.
So, has she been a friend of yours prior to this? Has she been someone you know that did things with you before this particular class where you were TA?
Well, yeah, I mean, we went to we went to some of the the normal schools together when we were kids, and she always seemed like she didn't really like me then because she was always super popular, but she was being super nice to me now. So I mean, maybe she's changed as a person, and I thought that was great. And she seemed like she really wanted help, and asked me if she could come over to the house and kind of see where I worked and everything.
So, when she was with you, can you talk to me about, perhaps you might have indulged in some libation, or perhaps eaten or consumed other things together and spent some time together?
Well, I mean, we spent a lot of time together. I was tutoring her. Um, I mean, I don't really drink, and she knows that. But she was super nice, and she did my makeup. That was kind of like the exchange part where she did my makeup and tried to educate me on the application of powders and creams to make myself more aesthetically pleasing. And I tutored her, and I happened to even have one of the old exam sheets for the exam that was upcoming, and I was helping her with that. But no drinking, nope, no drinking or other stuff.
Well, um, we have in our possession what we found on her. An exact list of answers to the test in question that you just described. Did you give it to her?
No, I mean, I was using it as a reference because, what professor changes their test every year? I mean, no one does that. They use the same test for at least 5 to 6 years in a row. And the elves, because they live forever, they use them for
Jenna,
like a decade.
Jenna, you gave her access to the answers to the exam questions. Is that what you did?
No, no, oh, oh.
Yeah,
So,
your mother says. Let me be clear. This individual attempted some sort of commerce with you, where she exchanged her attention and affection and knowledge of facile chemical alteration, and you gave her answers to the exam?
No, 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 that's not what happened. See, oh, she's still a bitch. Um, so so at one point she was applying the makeup and she accidentally spilled some stuff on me. So I went to go get another shirt and change in the bathroom. And when I came back, I couldn't find the test. And I was, searching and scrambling, and she started helping me to find the test, and we eventually found it. But I thought I had just misplaced it, like I do sometimes, because gadgets and gizmos, and they kind of get everywhere. But I think maybe she might have copied it. I
All right,
thought she
dear.
was gonna be my friend.
I have known you since you were a very small girl. And your father, puts his hands on the table and stiffens his back. I have known you since you were a very small girl. And, I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and, I expect a yes or no answer. I
You
will
know how I
know.
feel about binary answers, Father. They're very inaccurate at most times.
It is necessary for us to be reductive in this circumstance. Are you clear?
Yes, Father.
Very good. Listen to dear Fletcher. I'm going to ask you a series of yes or no questions, and I have prepared myself to know your intentions. So, will you be resisting my attempt to know, or do you open yourself freely to me as I ask you these questions?
No, no, I am familiar with this application.
Very good. When did you realize that the test questions had been taken from you?
No?
She's so smart. I love her. So, did you give them to her?
No.
Did she ask you for them?
No.
Do you think she's your friend?
No.
Do you believe she manipulated you?
Yes.
Has this happened to you before?
No.
Do you have other friends that come over to see you?
No.
Do you have friends that you see academically at school?
No.
Do you have friends that you spend time with?
Yes.
I'm going to release the restriction of yes and no. Who might they be?
The friends that I make.
Jenna, I don't see malice here. I don't see collusion. I see a kind-hearted and simple person who has allowed herself to be led in the wrong direction. We were prepared to expel you today, but I honestly believe your lack of social awareness may have exposed you to manipulation. Idris and Dominique. I will speak to them, but I have no reason to believe they actively engaged in malfeasance. Their penalties will be social discipline, I think, and economic for their parents. Angela, she is expelled. She, from what I have learned, um, went into your house, took advantage of a past relationship, took test questions from you, unbeknownst to you, I believe, and sold them to other individuals. So, she is gone. I do not want this to darken your heart, though. There are many, many good people in the world who will find in you a joy for learning and understanding the universe that engages them and fills them with joy also. But I do want you to be cautious. Very few people give a gift with an open hand. Very many people give a gift with the expectation of something back. And if you do not give clearly, then they will take. Jennabink, tell me how you feel now.
I just don't want to be expelled. The university is all I have, and it helps me to learn how to make my friends. And she pulls a little crawly gadget bot thing out of her pocket. See? This is Fred.
Alright, now your dad tears up, alright, and is rubbing forehead and face. And your mom just looks at you and smiles. I think you will make wonderful and amazing things. I think your time here in the university will find you faculty and understanding things about the interaction of magic and the material world and the science that springs from that. That will amaze and astound us. I have faith in you. But be wise. Your trust is a gift. Do not give it easily or quickly. So, I wish I could tell you that there was an equation. On one side was a number that was a self, on the other was a system of variables and interconnections that you could solve to find truth. That is not how affairs of the heart and spirit work. So, for you, intuition must be the device you use to pry meaning from interaction. There are not absolutes in the ways that you find in the science that you excel at. Does this make sense to you, Jennabink?
It does. I mean, there has to have been something I could have seen, or some interaction, and something that I could have researched and observed to make me better prepared for this situation. And obviously, I didn't. So I just need to research and observe that much more.
Might I suggest some ethnographic studies to fully flesh out your full education?
Oh, yes, yes. I need to start treating every class that I TA as its own ethnographic study. So I will probably end up doing that and giving each of the students a grade ethnographically in addition to, and possibly across 6 statistics. I can observe their strength, their dexterity, their constitution, their intelligence, their wisdom, and their charisma. So Idris would be really high charisma, really low intelligence. So I can start doing those studies and analyzing patterns about how they interact with people, and maybe I can better understand people so this doesn't happen again.
I think that's noble. I think that's a suitable endeavor for you. Just remember, that some decisions cannot be made based on a solution. Hmm? And by that, I mean cannot be solved to in a formal way. Some decisions must come to you from the voice in the back of your mind, the non rational piece of you that says yes. Now, one cannot depend on that voice completely because it will be wrong. But if it points you towards a truth, especially a truth about people, it is worth consideration and then further analysis. So, hear all your voices, evaluate them closely.
So I'm supposed to be mildly schizophrenic? I mean, I suppose that kind of role play might be important to better understand the perspectives of others, so I can also engage in that, I suppose.
I think the world is a cipher for you that is wondrous in ways many people do not understand. And I appreciate, without a doubt, your perspective. So, my dear, um, you have interacted at length with many, many, many gnomes, and this is your mother. And I think that at times you have derived outstanding interaction and social benefit. But not everyone, not all beings that speak and think and feel, interact in the same way, in the same goals. For us, we must understand that sometimes folk see us not as real, but as objects. And that is a challenge we face as small folk and maker of things.
Well, even the other gnomes aren't always really nice to me, Mom.
Your father just looks at you and he says, my dear, you have a good and kind heart. You are brilliant in many, many, many things. And I love you for your trust and kindness. Just be wary. Hmm? Just ask yourself, what does this person seek from me? In my experience, 1 person in 10 does what they do for and with you without expectation of reciprocated gain. And, as you know, as a young man, I traveled extensively with Thonians and dwarves. And the ones that gave to me freely because they saw in me something that made them better, those men and women became my friends. And I think you will find the same as you adventure in your life and pass out of these walls into other places. Because all of existence cannot just be the university for you. Because, let us think, there is theory, there is praxis. Praxis is deployed in being. Theory is formed from experience. And praxis will give you joy.
That's it. I need to do field research.
Yes, my dear. Have you been to the comeback inn without your mother and I yet?
Oh no, I mean, why would I go there? It's like I don't drink. The food is overly expensive and not that good. I mean, I'm not gonna tell old Bats that, but I'm not a big fan.
What I suggest becomes the core of ethnographic studies for you. And Fletcher is looking at your father. He goes, would be to go, sit in a chair, order a cider, perhaps something to eat, and to watch. To point your eyes out and apply the metric I have proposed. What passes between? When a thing is said, it moves with force. The force is not quantifiable in the same way that the force from a struck blow is, but information is exchanged and then information is passed back. Look at the stroke and counterstroke and understand the means of exchange. If there is a desire for reciprocation, that is a type of intellectual commerce. If there is the pure gift of information with disregard for profit, that is a type of friendship that becomes deeper with each passage. Look for it. Try to understand it. Let your eyes teach you what your mind does not perceive in the same way. Does this make sense, my child?
Oh, absolutely. That puts going out to establishments like that makes so much more sense.
Very good. Very good. So, I love you, dear. Fletcher says,
I love you too.
that was awesome, Jen. Fletcher says, well, I believe then that this incident's closed. There will be a record in your file that you did compromise the security of test materials, but we will also note the transcript of the investigation that I have done here. Jennabink, this is something that you can move beyond very quickly. Be a little bit wise, be a little bit guarded, and when in doubt, come speak to me or your parents. I hold them in high, high esteem. Your father and I, as young men, might have traveled together at times. Any questions for me?
No, thank you very much. I appreciate your lenience in this matter and understanding and getting my perspective.
Do brilliant, wonderful, and great things. And you will also find men and women who teeter on the edge of justice and self-absorption and potentially ill deeds. If you can bring them into a better place, do so. As I told you at the beginning of this, do not lose your ability to trust. Here, come here, dear. And he gives you a big old hug and says, do you have any other questions for me?
Well, I was wondering if you could give me more information on the paper that you wrote on the diatribes and conditions inherent in metallic application to gadgetry.
Well, absolutely, I can. Here, have I ever shared with you some of the initial research I did and some of the conclusions I drew were flawed somewhat, and I think that might be useful to you as you design your own test models. Here, let me. And we'll close this scene as he shares his thinking and how he failed at least once formulating this theory.
Fantastic.
All right. Jen, let's talk about what your character found out about herself and her family.
So, very much discovered that, there are certain and normally senior people to her that she feels that she can trust and that she has an established relationship with. But she, for then and always has a tendency to assume that everyone wants something from her and aren't saying that they want something from her. So probably her associations with Idris only accentuate that. And she is certainly still in the stages of I am going to do research, and that is giving out to people, and that is kind of her giving of herself in providing people with education, but it is very difficult for her to trust anyone. So I think that's going to take a while.
Yeah, one of the things that, as I was thinking through a potential scenario for you, one of the things that I very much saw with your character is she's very enthusiastic, she's very outgoing, but she's very guarded. There's a piece of herself she holds back. And so I tried to think through a moment for us to explore here where that would come to the surface, and you could present that. and I felt it was really good engagement. Likewise with Idris, PJ. I mean, one of the things you've talked about me through your family is I've never had a feeling that you thought your family was filled with nice people who had your best interests at heart. So for them, I really thought we'd explore how heavy-handed they could be with you, and sort of the place you find yourself within a household, because a lot of what you do, there's a lot of smoldering resentment towards authority figures within in terms of how you respond to things. So I thought this was a good opportunity for us to bring that to light too. Did that work for you?
Yes, I'd like to take all my anger and just take a jar and scream into it and then seal it and put it on my anger shelf and bury it deep down inside. Let it smolder.
Yeah, I think that was great. I think one of the things that I really enjoy about role-playing games, D&D, all these different games, is the ability to, be an actor, to play, to build out a persona, to understand how, your character thinks, how they interact with things, and to move, sort of yourself through a journey you wouldn't normally experience, to understand yourself through a character that you share with other people. And I'm thinking we will intermittently drop off when we don't have everybody present and sort of do some set piece things. And some of this will be things from our background. And we're going to have periods where we are having downtime in the campaign, just the nature of, the mechanics of the game, and also how things work out for, the people your characters are. So, something I want to do, just to encounter for the three of us, all right, is, so, the two of you meet to come back in. Within about 3 weeks of the event we just role played through, all right? And Idris, you know that Albertina, who gave you all the answers to that test, got booted, and your dad got slapped with a 500 gold piece fine because when you were interrogated, you... You're not on the tabletop, are you, right now?
No, it won't let us.
All right, let me do it for you. We are going to give you a save, and based on how that save goes, and I'm just going to use your current stats because it's a little abstract for us anyhow. I'm going to give you...
You're telling me I'm going to have to have... I'm going to have a hot-handed a dice game. Make up my missing money.
I'm
7.
actually... No, I'm going to give you a charisma save, because this is about being slick, all right?
Oh, man, I got +7s on that, man.
Oh, yeah. All right. So you got a 17 on that, which was high enough that they couldn't prove things, but high enough that they were suspicious. So tell me, what would your argument be to say, I didn't do anything wrong? Why are you coming down on me?
It's legal till you're caught. If the test results don't fit, you must acquit. I mean, how do you know I don't know all those answers? It's not like you have another test handy ready to go.
So your basic defense is going to be, to paraphrase, prove it. Is that your basic defense? Okay.
I believe that's what all good nobles tell people to do.
Oh, most certainly. Either that, or they refuse subpoenas, right?
We just hang out.
All right. So,
but I do know after this most latest incident, I'm gonna have to work on my my fallback plan to be a bard. That was too close. So these last couple weeks, I've been working on a new song. Yeah.
All right. Cool. So, based on how that went, we're not going to assume that you weren't fined. Dominique was, but you weren't fined. You were, brought in from a very similar board that Jennabink was. You were interrogated, and you managed to resist and deny the interrogation. Primarily because you're just, very, very charismatic and willfully forceful person. So you were able to push that aside and away.
Does he even believe what he's saying to
all
us?
right.
Yeah.
Jenna, has your did your character attempt to find out what happened as a result of this, or did you just go off, do what your parents said? I mean, tell me what your reaction is and what you would do over the 2 or 3 weeks that followed this event.
So knowing that Idris was involved, knowing that he often goes to the Comeback Inn to make money, one of my primary goals would be to sit in a corner at the Comeback Inn and take copious notes about all the people that would come to the Comeback Inn, especially those that were regulars, so I could, get increased sample sizes.
Okay, very
and so
good.
since Idris is already one that I have an established knowledge of, and clearly is someone that had deceived me previously, I'm going to, and I am not a deceptive gnome, so I am sure that Idris would have a very good chance of seeing me staring straight at him and taking notes, and then staring straight at him and taking more notes.
All right. Let me think this through for a second.
You might catch me on open mic night.
Yes, and that would just add to my notes. Oh, so many notes.
All right.
Despite his inability to consistently hit a 440 hertz note, Idris is apparently very popular with his singing.
Yes, you should come when I'm performing Greatest Blackmoorian Hero.
All right, let me think this through. Okay. All right, Jennabink. You are plunked down, taking notes. All right, and the barmaids, have been running up to see you pretty consistently, pretty constantly, and they have absolutely taken an interest in what you're doing, because I take it you're not. I take it you're not directly engaging with anybody, right? For you, the
No.
issue is more just observation, right?
Correct.
So you've got, a bunch of barmaids, right, who are trying to engage you, trying to, see, hey, who's this gal? What's she doing here, right? So you got a bunch of barmaids that are, whipping in and out, to see you and to talk to you. And, you're a little resistant to having conversations with them, So, and, well, you don't know, and I'm trying to not say all the time. So the barmaids were Bindi and Maple, and, of course, Muntar is the cook, and one of the gals is Sass, and one of them is Sunny. And Maple and Sass apparently have decided they're going to get you to talk to them. All right. So, there's a lull. All right. There's, some Masons, and it's a mixed bunch. It's a couple Havlings, it's 2 Thonian workmen, and it's a dwarf. So there's a Thonian in. It's about an hour and a half after lunch. So what passes for a slow time here? All right. A few other folks that are obviously from a caravan out of town sitting there eating, enjoying themselves. And they plunk down next to you. And so I gotta ask you, all you do is sit here and write and watch these folks. I mean, we talk to them all the time. What do you want to know? And that's from, Maple. Yeah, says the other gal, Sass. What do you want to know? We'll tell you.
I'm simply trying to hone my observational skills and perform a acceptable ethnographic study of this inn. And have I not been procuring enough beverages to make my presence acceptable?
Oh, no, it's not about that. It's just, so what we do is we talk to people all the time. We, make our money out of getting them to like us, kinda, and also out about, I just like talking to people. Now, here, I want you to watch something. Here, let's help her. Yeah, says, I think we see things you probably don't. Watch. And she says, watch Sonny go through and go over and talk to that, Thonian guy, the gray haired kind of guy there, right? The older guy there. Watch. Okay. And as you're watching, the minute Sonny starts to move towards him, and Sonny is early 20s, very well endowed, and is a pleasure to watch move. So she goes towards him, and his head comes up, and his friends' heads come up, and they track him all the way in. All right? Now, and you see that, all right? And you've kind of noticed that before, but Saz says, what do you think's going on there?
Well, I mean, clearly there's some kind of attraction that I have yet to completely understand and document, since only, certain magnitudes of the attraction happen within observable ranges. Clearly, your research methods are different than mine, although I suppose I could interview you as subject matter experts.
Maple goes, I'm a subject matter expert. And Sass goes, indeed you are, sister. So, well, yeah, you got it. So she's pretty. I think she's the prettiest out of all of us. She's pretty. She knows it. All right. And watch. And as she goes around the table, she touches the older gentleman on the shoulder, leans forward, makes eye contact with him, moves back around. She goes, I think she really likes the guy. He seems to be nice. I mean, none of them fellas has tried to grab her or been nasty. Bats hasn't had to slap him around, but she knows they like her, and she's using the fact that they like her to get a good response from them, which will help her make more money. So I think that's what's going on there. Yeah, and
Clearly, that's only a very small sample set of the interactions that occur between that particular, person A and person B. Now, as the relationship between person A and person B increases, it could be that person A is incredibly patient and just waiting for the right moment to cause issues or otherwise undermine the relationship with person B. So, I believe more data analysis is necessary to ensure that relationship does not become lopsided in some sense.
And
It could
Sass'
be
eyes
that,
pops open, and she looks and she goes, I think you're right. I mean, yeah. So it's like, okay, it's a salt shaker, right? You pick it up, and you assume there's salt in it, and you put it on there. Now, you could pick it up, and it could be filled with, like, rat poison, but you wouldn't know, right? You just think it was salt. So a lot of what we do is, look at folks and just make some assumptions based on what we've seen before. But you're right, to know for certain, you got to watch more, you got to interact more. Yeah. And Maple goes, yeah, you're pretty smart. So listen, you want something to drink? We'll buy you something.
I have been subsisting on apple juice because that is the only thing that I was assured that your establishment had that was non-alcoholic. Is there something else more interesting that you could provide me that is non-alcoholic?
Well, you had milk before?
I've had milk before. Yes, it's of which designation is this milk? Is it bovine or goat
We
or
have goat's milk. We also have, milk with cream. Oh, do you like hot drinks?
I do enjoy drinks of elevated temperature. Yes.
Excellent. I'm gonna go get you. I'm gonna go get you some elf bark tea. It's got a nice flavor to it. How's that sound? You want to try some teas?
That sounds delicious. Thank you. Yes.
All right. So what happens for you is the girls start to interact with you more and more. All right. Just because you sit there, you talk, and you're a nice, safe place for them. You don't want anything. So, they can be more and more just themselves in a natural way around you. So you get to see the waitresses and stuff come in. Bats at one point walks over, looks down, and goes, here's the deal. Most of these folks are just trying to get by. And they come in here as part of getting by. And the girls say, you're trying to figure out what makes people try to get by. You know what I think?
No, I don't. I will take notes on that matter, though, if you tell me.
Ha! I think people are just trying to not hurt, to hide from their fear, and to make it to the next day without sorrow. That's what I think. 'Cause the world is filled with sorrow. And she sets down some tea. That there is made out of passion flower and peach tree pit. I think you'll like it. Yeah, I think you will. And Bat slumbers away.
I drink the tea, and I'm sure it's wonderful.
All right, so Idris, when you get acquitted, all right, when you get away with it. No, so I'm assuming you actually went and bought the test scores from her. It wasn't like
Absolutely.
she. Okay, all right, no problem. Okay,
It
I'm
was like,
assuming
hey, you
that.
got this? Yeah, done.
So when you get away with it, how are you celebrating? Do you share within your family that you got away with this shit, or no?
No, because it was so close, and realizing like, hey, they rolled in all these bigwig people because I did something, and then my money got tapped off. I was like, oh snap, I better work on my side hustle. So, I've been waiting to hear what Father has done, what he's gonna do to me, because I haven't heard anything. So I'm working on my song lyrics, getting them prepped, getting ready for open mic night here.
That's
so
awesome.
I think the hammer's gonna drop. But I do realize people are watching. People are watching all the time. They're watching not just big things, but small things. So,
Right. So you got a feeling that probably he's going to find out, but you're not going to bring it to him.
No, you got to keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
You got to deny. You already got out. It's never happened. You have to continue to proclaim innocence. It never happened.
Man, I got to go back and read The Godfather 1 and 2 again, because I think that's your basic family dynamic.
Nobody wants to be Fredo in that family.
All right. So, night on the town? Anybody specific coming with you, or no?
No, I'm actually preparing my song. I do have a song ready for open mic night.
So, rolling out, seeing who you find, playing cards, having a good time.
I'm going there, and I'm going to the what do you call it, the
come back in.
The come back in, and I'm like, can't be playing cards. I got to be on the straight and narrow. You can't get caught again. You got to really work on your trade.
Okay.
You got to find somebody, because it's clear that I don't have any friends here. So I got to find them. I got to find people who are willing to either be used or use me in return for things I need. Is what I need.
Wow. Okay, cool. So you come rolling in, and there's that TA from school, and looks like a group of mercenaries and merry caravan guards, and that group of guys over there, yeah, guys from the Temple of Odir, no doubt about it. They're always in here hanging out, and there's cluster of looks to be tradesmen from the leather tanners, no doubt about it. They always have that sort of background smell of uric acid around them. And hey, well, there are two well-to-do young women sitting over in the corner with maybe it's a younger brother or a nephew. Oh yeah, so clearly we got a couple of well-to-do housemaids out with this kid. All right, so where you going?
I'm gonna go over to the, what is it? Are they Paladins of Odir?
Yeah, these
Yeah.
are actually these look like staff. Is you come up,
Oh, at the temple.
you can see probably priest, probably layman, and one of them very clearly is temple guard. Might be a paladin. That's not unusual, but you've got a group of three of them sitting there. So
Gotcha. I'll come over and introduce myself. I'm like, hello, my name is Idris Regan. I'm interested in signing up. I'm looking for some kind of direction in my life with perks.
sit. All right, lad. Tell me what you're looking for. Hmm?
Well, I'm looking for some way to survive the next 5 years to get through my noble's training. I mean, I hear lots of them are dying off, and it doesn't hurt to have extra skills. I'm handy with the sword. I'm damn fine looking. I mean, the Temple of Odir could use a resource like me.
What do you understand of Odir?
I understand he's fair and patriarchal and very law and ordery, for the people. That kind of thing, and I'm looking to make a change in my life. I've
He
had
is a
some
father.
rough.
He is a
Yes.
lawgiver. He guides. He shows us the best path and the best way to support and take care of each other.
Yes, that's so unlike my own father who shipped me off here. I mean, he doesn't even understand me. I need someone like that to help guide me, make sure I'm on the straight and narrow. But what is it like in the order there?
Well, you must understand the liturgy of the god. You must, soak yourself in his teachings, apply them to your own life, and through that process come to an understanding of the mysteries that guide creation and just action. So, there is. Odir makes the world, he made the land. Spun throughout all of existence is his plan and the order that he has brought to the world. For those of us very, very high in his favor, he will speak to you directly and show you those mysteries. To others of us, sign, symbol, moments of intuitive glimpses into the future, those things teach us how to become better and become more and what our role in creation is. So, sir, I cannot help but see and tell that you, sir, are a noble. Um, to give yourself to Odir is to step away from much privilege. It is to surrender to his guidance and his plan for you, not just adhere to the material and physical things of this world that guide all of us. To be a member of the clergy, to be true in the faith of Odir, is to surrender to his will above others. And you get the gift of his blessing, his guidance, and you know that when, the last breath is drawn and your eyes are closed, you will be chosen to stand in a place where all the rest of your days are about answering any question you have, knowing things with absolute certainty, and being part of that which creates the rest of the universe. So that is Odir. So
Idris looks like he has like the Marine 1,000-yard stare. Everything he's just heard has like triggered him. Like he's back with his father. Like, you must submit. You must submit to the All Father. You must do this. And he's just like, I'm out here. Like, I can't take this. And he smiles. He nods. He stands up and he's like, thank you for your time. Sounds like a bit too much commitment for someone like myself. I'm gonna go see what it's like with the Paladins of Hirsch. Sound like a raucous group. But thank you for your honesty and your commitment to your vows.
go in peace, brother.
Whoa, that was freaky.
So, Jennabink, if this were our traditional table, I'd have you make perception checks for that. But because this is a narrative engagement, you just heard all of that. You've taken notes.
Yeah,
Are
no,
you doing
like I
anything?
push away from the table, like, oh my god, someone dropped a grenade in front of me. Like I was like whoa, you know, Daddy, no.
So, now, you actually drink, but say you don't drink, right?
No, I say I don't drink. I only drink water and believe that they're only giving me water.
Oh, do you? So here's the thing: the um, barmaids here know you quite obviously, right? And they are know probably that you tip them fairly well too. So as you're stepping away from that table, I mean, Sonny is probably going to show up with whatever you normally drink. So, is she showing up with a tankard of ale for you, or a jack of wine, or what? Or
It is a glass of what do you call it, of alcohol that is so smooth and whatever. It,
oh,
it's like
so
water. It's like that. It's clear, and that's what Idris believes it is water. Part of his training, because belief is power. Therefore, if you believe it's water, it is water.
so if they were to bring you a,
That's the ultimate in the deceptive arts.
so they're going to give you like vodka poutine, or they're
Yeah,
going to
they
give
like
you
they try and give me different things, and I just keep trying to stay in what do you call it, without breaking, no matter what they're giving to me.
Okay, so if they give you like a big old, container of fermented ginger beer, like it's booze, but it's made from ginger, you're gonna swear that it's just ginger ale, right? Okay, that makes
You gotta
sense.
stay on it. You gotta stay on
All
it.
right.
Yeah.
So you walk away from the table, and Sonny comes by, hands you a container of booze that you're in denial about, right?
Yep.
All right, and rolls away, nodding. All right, and you take a sip.
Yep.
Bats looks at you across the room. What do you do?
I wave and I ask, so Bats, I hear you have an open mic night. I'm looking to get into the bardic arts and practice my oratory, my performances. I need to find a new income stream.
Well, yeah, we could do that for you.
And
So,
I'm willing to sing for drinks.
Huh? You know what I'd do if I were you? I mean, you got a good voice, but I think your strength's gonna be recitation. Yeah, I'd say, pop open, one of the poetic Edda, stand up there and talk about, in Seligath and, or Sartha, fighting great iron or five-headed dragon of the abyss, things like that. People soak that stuff up, and you're a big striking Hythonian lad. They're gonna see you doing that and, see some specific things about you. What do you think about that?
I mean, I can always give it a try. I mean, dragons, I don't know much about them. I mean, I only know what I know. I figured, I could start with that, but I can work my way up to dragons. I mean, I can imagine dragons. It's possible.
So, Bats leans over top of you, puts her nose directly over top of your head, snorts. You know what? I think you need to go over and sit down with that there gnome there. You know her at all?
I don't know her. I don't know what anybody's talking about. Nothing happened whatsoever.
Yeah, I think you ought to go over there and sit down and talk to her. You know why?
Why is that, Bats?
Well, you got a smell to you. I'm
That's-
thinking only way to get that stink off you is to talk it through with her.
And I point over there, and I know she's shorter than everybody else. And I'm like, as I point, like I'm pointing at like the women behind her. I'm like, I can definitely do that, Bats. I see her, the one with the blonde hair, right? With the dress over there.
Sunny.
Definitely.
Yeah, Sunny. You mean the barmaid, Sunny? Is that who you're pointing at?
Well, yeah, I mean, right? That's who you want me to get more acquainted with, right? Wash the smell off. I can do that.
She goes, let me help you. And she comes around the table, the bar. She puts her hand on the middle of your back. And she lifts a little bit. You know, it's very easy to walk right now. All right? And she walks you over, and she lets go, and she goes, Jennabink, do you know Idris?
Oh yeah. I know Idris. He's taking one of the classes that I TA. Actually, several of the classes that I've TA'd. Hi, Idris.
Idris.
Hey.
Jennabink. Idris. Sit down.
Sit down.
All right.
I'm just doing observations here, old Bats. I mean, he doesn't need to, yeah. I can do my observations from afar, and that's just as good for me.
I lean over and I say, look at me. I am the observer now.
I'm not sure what you're observing. I am simply here doing ethnographic studies of all the people in this inn. I have plenty of data points for you. You were here last Wednesday playing cards. You seem to have lost rather poorly. That was not going so well for you. You exhibited emotions of frustration and then later elation. So you certainly have your range.
So as you start talking, Bats leans over, puts her hand on Idris's shoulder, and says next to you, "In jail." Yeah, Hythonian, right? Fletcher'd like you to know who you wronged. Pat, pat, pat. Stands up and walks away.
I say back in jail. Secret languages are secret for a reason, Bats.
Bats is gone.
Did you put a drink order in or something? I didn't quite catch that.
No, it was just, a fit. But I understand where you could be coming from. I mean, it wasn't great what happened to you, but I think it was a valuable lesson that you learned that not all people are so easy to read and observe, perhaps. I mean, look at that old man over there, the one you were observing. He isn't so nice. He may not have grabbed Sonny's tush, but we all know where he's going later. You have to know people. You have to have context. And just seeing them in one setting isn't enough. You have to see them in all the settings.
Well, I mean, so there's observation, but there's also research. So take yourself, for instance. Following the incident that occurred, I did a significant amount of research into your familial background and discovered that you, being the second son, will receive no property and generally no support from your family past a certain age. And you're currently approaching the end of your academic endeavors, so you need to very shortly obtain some kind of employment. That said, I saw your reaction to the Odirians. I wonder if that's the proper plural for them. I'll have to look that up later.
Incorrect. I am the third son. Get your facts right.
Oh,
Not
see?
the second. Third.
She
Third
crosses out
son.
notes, corrects them.
Third son. And second of all, I'm not failing. I'm soaring. My grades are so great. I mean, I aced that test, didn't I? Got them all right.
For the first time that you have seen her in the inn, she shoves her notes away from her. You cheated on that test.
Fake news. We all heard what he said. Nobody was able to prove it. And here's the lesson you should learn. Research isn't the same as actually doing. I actually took that test and passed. Did I research anything? No. But we got the same result. Why? Because in the lab, everything's controlled. But out here in the real world, there is no control. It's nothing but chaos. Praise be to the dragon gods and Selagath and so on, etc. And chamber. I think there's one more, but it's failing me at this time. I do allegedly fake my answers on tests, but I do know some things.
You know very few things. You know, like, almost absolutely nothing about the arcane science. And just because you know people doesn't mean anything. I can get by just fine with me and Fred and Ginger.
Well, you, Fred, and Ginger would do terribly in the real world. I mean, did you know there's people that are twice as tall as you and twice as wide? What are you going to do when you run into them? Arcane science them? I've seen people who are resistant to arcane science. What are you going to do when your science fails you? You going to turn to the gods? To the divine? No. You turn to this, and he pulls out his longsword. Cold hard steel. It'll never fail you. You got to have an exit strategy.
As he's talking, I am instructing Fred to climb up behind him and latch onto the back of Idris.
So Fred is
just like, so as a tinkerer, I get a small,
right.
Thing. It's basically one of those little wind-up toys. But this one is like a creepy crawler.
Okay, so
will it do anything? Absolutely not. Does it make me happy that is now attached to him? Yes.
All right, that's awesome.
You're right. The longsword is very impressive, and while I prefer blunt objects to sharp objects, I will definitely start to employ more of that. Takes notes.
So, oh damn.
Yeah.
So, Idris, you just rolled a 22 on a perception check, and this little clock.
You, experience.
This little clockwork thing goes up the chair, up your cloak, and is moving up towards your shoulder.
Yeah. I'm gonna use my what do you call it? I'm not even gonna use my sleight of hand. I'm just gonna, as it's doing it, I'm gonna be like looking her in the eyes and talking about, once again, the lab is controlled. Out here in the real world, terrible things happen. And I'm just gonna take the flat of the sword and just bam, just smash it.
You just got a Fred-ectomy. And I believe this would be an excellent place to draw to conclusion your first meeting. Would we like to talk about our interaction at this point?
I would like one more rebuttal before we end this. So as Idris walks away, and I am gathering up the pieces of Fred.
I'll say what I say. Now you see me, now you don't.
Go ahead, Jen.
I gather up the pieces of Fred, and I say, that's okay. I can rebuild Fred. You can't rebuild your hopes and dreams.
That was like,
okay.
That was a good one.
Done. All right. I think that, so we have established the underlying adversarial relationship the two of you have and why. All right. So, Idris, who is Jenna?
She is a great resource who knows a lot of things. But in practical matters may not be so well versed, which gets her into these weird situations that she's not used to, because she expects everyone to, not that she expects, she thinks that her research covers all angles of someone or some situation, when anyone who knows something about science knows you've got your known variables and your unknown variables. And so he sees her as a great potential for things at school, trying to get a better grip on stuff that's gone around after what happened to him.
Does he like her? I mean, you
Oh yeah,
really, yeah, because you really seem to be trying to give her good advice from your perspective, right?
yeah.
Okay. So,
I mean,
Jennabink,
sometimes she steps across the line, and that's when I have to check her. She's a habitual line stepper.
Jennabink, talk to me about Idris.
So he is the epitome of everything. It just annoys me so much because, intelligence should be the thing that qualifies us as people. Like, the more intelligent you are, the more you should be respected. And somehow he has all this respect and all this capability without any intelligence. And the fact that he lies and is deceptive is just so frustrating. So on one hand, I want to observe and secretly hope that someday uh, the universal machinations that some people call karma will, visit him and make things bad for him. But on the other hand, he's this challenge, and I have to continue staying engaged with him in order to better understand why his methodology actually works. It's kind of maddening.
So, this kind is for you. So, you have an intellectual model of how the world should work, and it's a meritocracy, right? That's what you see. And over here, you have the material experience of bias, of, positional power by inheritance and not based on merit, right? So you want to for you, he's about understanding how that dynamic works and making sense of it, and he pisses you off. Is that kind of it?
Yes. Yeah, that pretty much summarizes it. Yep.
So
Yeah,
do you
he's
like him
the
at all?
reverse to her.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you like about him?
Yeah.
I mean, I respect that he makes things work for himself, so it's not as though he just fumbles around and fails. Like, he has a very distinct methodology. It's just that I don't understand the methodology so clearly. I need to research this more.
So he pisses you off, but he kind of amazes you at the same time?
Yes.
Okay. So now, this is a Tad thing, right? But one of the things I very, very much believe in when we're doing a role-playing game together, D&D, whatever, is a lot of times, bang, you're in a bar, right? And you all get to know each other, and you go off, and you adventure. And you have no backstory, you have no, understanding of why people are together and how they interact. And so very much what I want to do here with all of us, and we're going to do this intermittently, is understand each other on interpersonal and human terms. And I really want to thank both of you for just giving me, and I think our audience, outstanding role playing today, and being very pure and honest about your characters with each other. So,
Well, I think it's important to note for everyone watching this that, PJ and I, we didn't, come into this going, oh, I know exactly the conversation we're going to have. Tad gave us the whole setup. No, it was Tad going, okay, Jennabink, we're going to talk about one of your failures, and Idris, we're going to talk about, your dad. And I'm like, okay,
And then we'll talk about being in the bar. And that was it.
Yeah, that was all we had. Everything else you guys saw.
Yeah, it was pure improv model. All right, sort of thing that I got trained in when I was in college. Pure method, and each one of these characters individually, each one of these people had a little slot zero with me, where we can where we work through the character, their family, the basic information, how they knew each other, and I took copious notes, and now we're starting to manifest that. So. Something Jen says about me in my other game is whatever you say to Tad, he uses.
This is true. This is all true.
So.
I gotta say, I put all my faith in the dice every single time. Like, anyone who's played at the table with me physically when I'm playing with my yellow dice knows that, like, when I get myself into really terrible situations and I'll just sit there and, like, they're like, oh man, that's a Minotaur, they're gonna charge you, you're gonna die. And I'm like, I just throw the D20 out there. I'm like, it's a natural 20, I crit, he's dead. And everybody's like, there's no way that's happening. Boom, it drops and it's a 20. So when you're talking about that chaos, that luck side, that's where I enjoy watching all these 20s roll on my character. I'm like, just keep it up, Fantasy Grounds algorithm. You're only playing to my chaotic strengths.
Clearly, your experience at Fantasy Grounds is not mine, because I'm like, all right, we're gonna do this. We're gonna be heroic. We're gonna be epic. 2.
That's the beauty of the improv.
Scene.
Because if that was a 1, that would have been even funnier for that one.
So, well, so I'm hearing you say Paladin of Hirsch, correct?
Yeah, I mean, it's if you think about all the different human deities out there, it's the one that fits closest to where he's at right now. God of Luck, communication. What was the other one I was looking at? I think it was.
I thought your
basically like
response to Odir was spot on, because you're like, oh my god, another dominating patriarchal figure.
Yeah,
to
submit
hell
to
with
the
that.
father. I'm like, I can't do that.
You're like, I got enough dad in my life. No. So.
No. I got to rage against the patriarchy. Hirsch looks cool. He's got dice.
All right.
Yeah, when do we
brother.
hit 3rd level, Tad? I want to make decisions.
Yeah, we could talk about that. So, something that we're going to be doing, and it's going to involve the players, is I'm going to be doing a sort of a separate program where we talk very specifically about 5e mechanics in relationship to Blackmoor. And one of the things that PJ and I have talked a lot about is how do you manifest the Wizard's Cabal. And we have both different ideas in different approaches, and Blackmoor is everyone's. That's what they believed in. So you'll get to see how PJ approaches it, how I approach it, and we're trying to figure out the best mechanism for us to make this available for people who really value it. And this is not a commercial endeavor for me and PJ. This is just, we love Dave, we love Blackmoor. We want to give everybody an opportunity to see the world and different approaches to it. So
yeah, I joked with Tad. It's like you have Blackmoor 616. I've got Blackmoor 23. Dave's got Blackmoor 1. It's like Marvel. We're gonna have our crossover event.
All right. Well, thank both of you. Excellent role playing today. Really appreciate it. And thanks to all of you who stopped in and watched today. We appreciate it. We appreciate your commitment to the campaigning and the stream. And enjoy yourselves, enjoy Blackmoor, and as Dave would say, keep playing and keep taking care of each other. Y'all have a great day.